and thought, there's certain you're looking at, like, there are photographers that you look at their work, and then you look at photographers like Gene Smith, who were war correspondents, who would embed themselves, and just, potentially get, wake up dead, or get ripped apart. And that's a heavy lesson to learn real quick. I mean, that's a heavy sort of thing to learn. And he was so dedicated and such a dedicated, passionate artist that he would sacrifice himself, and he knew that was the truth, like the truth of his moment in that moment. That's one thing. When he captures something, that truth is going to remain forever. So he was able to make a solid statement, and make a difference in the upcoming generations. How many war correspondents, journalists, photographers, all were inspired by the work of Gene Smith and taking those risks. So, and obviously there are certain images that just are seared onto your brain and you'll never forget them. The image of Tomoko is something I would akin. It's like, it's
Pietà.
Yeah, it's the Pietà. It's as great as, it's as honest, it's as pure as anything. More faith in the people than the den leaders and the upper echelon who are kind of meant to look after its children and all that stuff. Well, I think the people will at some point realize that en masse they have far more power than any upper echelon, uber rich, bajillionaire. The people, because the people have the power to stop buying their products. They have the power to not listen to, this rhetoric. They have the power. So it's people like Gene Smith and many like him that I admire for continuing forward, for fighting the fight without any care of repercussions. Gene Smith was a complex fella, and he was bitter, and he'd been through everything, and he was in pain, and he was isolated, and all that. But ultimately, he was a hypersensitive human being who just needed to cover himself in cactus to protect that. But he chose to, leave that all behind when he dove into Minamata. I'm sure it was a very moving and painful experience for him, to see that.